Should I even try to like doll myself up right now? I have a scrunchie. You know, I store my jewelry on my desk. Can I just like throw jewelry onto any outfit and does that make it better? Oh, just sat on a DPN and I'm very lucky that didn't break. Is that better? Do I look more put together now? So we've got another finishing my WIPS video, and this is going to be a very ambitious episode. I have a lot of projects right now. So basically we've caught up on all my old WIPS. There are no like semi-abandoned WIPS laying around to my knowledge. So at this point, when I do the finishing my WIPS videos, it's just actively all the projects I'm working on. And right now I have like quite a few projects. These are not WIPS. These should not be here, but I'm gonna put them on because my feet could always be warmer. Project number 1 is a pair of socks that I am working on. And right now it's half of one sock. Project number 2, which isn't really a WIP, but my husband has worn his socks so much that they have worn little loving holes in them, which is, I take as like a really big compliment that he wore these socks enough to like fully wear holes in them. So I'm turning this into a project of its own because these are pretty big holes. Project number 3 is a crochet top that I started while on vacation this summer, and you can check out my video on that to get the details of how I got this far. And it needs sleeves, and the yarn I ordered has arrived, so I can actually finish this. If I don't finish it soon, it's never going to get done. Number 4, we have the Arctic Lights sweater, which is my first ever fully cabled sweater. I'm so excited. And this was a gifted pattern. I can't wait to work on this, but obviously it looks like I've made no progress. In my mind, I've made it so far on this project and this took forever, but I've got a lot left to do. Project number 5 is the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit, and it's a sweater that I am knitting for my mom. Mom, if you're watching this, you should have this in your possession by the time I'm showing this video, so hopefully it won't be giving anything away too much. All I need to do on this is the collar and the sleeve. I have no idea what project I'm going to start and end with, but we'll figure it out. You know, I think I'm gonna focus on the socks right now because I'm feeling the most fired up about these socks. I cannot wait to wear these with like so many outfits. Some sock details for you. I do not remember the name of the yarn, but I'll pop it up on the screen here. When I last visited my mom, we went to Harry and Alice in the Twin Cities, which is a yarn shop that she found for me and I absolutely love, so I go back every time I go to the Twin Cities now. As a birthday gift, she bought me a hank of yarn, and she bought me another yarn too, like the Rowan Denim Days, which I ended up making a handkerchief bandana thing out of. So she bought me this. The brand is Emma's Yarn, and it's in the DK weight, which I don't think it's really DK. I don't follow yarn weights. I don't care what the yarn says until I have it in my hands. That's when I will decide what needle size I want to use. So on this, I am using 2mm needles, and I'm using the Luca DPNs, which is like my favorite DPN brand. I like the grippiness of wood, but it's also like the way they do it is just nice and slidey, very buttery. So I've slowly been collecting more and more Luca DPNs. The sock pattern I'm following is one that I have done 4 times. Yeah, 4 times, because it's the socks I'm wearing right now. And then I did the Molly Weasley sock, that was what I called it. And then I did the one for my husband. And now I'm working on these. So this is the 4th pair of socks I will make with this pattern. It is just my favorite basic sock pattern. I have adjusted the pattern a little bit just to be a better fit. I do want to make a point to knit more socks in the future. I think this is the only pair I've knit for myself this year. And I'm not a huge sock knitter, but I feel like I can summon the motivation to make a pair a year for myself. I love having a hand knit sock collection. I wear my hand knit socks all the time, and I love wearing them with my shoes when I can make them really tight. So this one I'm making with a really tight gauge. Same with the ones that I'm currently wearing, so that they can be a little bit thicker, more sturdy. And I want to wear these all the time, and that just means I'm gonna get holes in them and we're gonna darn them, and it's gonna be really cute, and I'm gonna need to make more socks. I don't normally film at my desk, so right now I'm sitting at my desk and like you are basically attached to my computer monitor right now. And I got my 2 cats sleeping. There's Mary, there's Pippin. Anyways, what we're doing right now is last night I maintained my motivation, so I'm gonna try not to put my elbows on the table because then it'll shake the camera. But I am at the point in the sock where I am gonna do the toe, and I do not follow the pattern when it comes to the toe. I don't even know what the pattern says to do. Haha. I have the pattern right here. Okay, so I think we do the decreases similarly, but I do something a little different on the toe, and there's not really a great picture in the book for me to show you. Like, there's no way. But what she does when she does the toe is does it all in stockinette stitch, and I instead continue the ribbing all the way up to the toe. But yeah, for the decreases, you can see I do sort of like a raglan style decrease, and then Kitchener stitch at the very top here so that it can just look like one cohesive line. I did not execute it great on this one because I think this was the first Smart Heart sock that I did. Ooh, we got some thin spots on the heel. Yeah, look at that. I'm gonna need to darn that soon. Maybe I should do that when I'm fixing the other socks for my husband. Why did I throw that? I need to reference that. Okay, I think I can figure out, because I do have notes. I have notes for how to do toe with a little diagram that I drew. And I think I decreased every single round instead of every other round because I got tiny little feet and a short little, so I don't need like a long toe decrease. I just need a short little like stumpy toe. I think I started this like 3 days ago. So 3 days to knit one sock is pretty good. I'm not quite rushing, but I'm a little bit like trying to get the toe done sooner rather than later because it's the last weekend that the pool at my apartment is going to be open, and so I haven't really gotten to go that much this summer. I've just been prioritizing other things instead. But this afternoon, I am going to the pool with my friend for a couple hours, and I would like to have the second sock casted on so that I can just spend like 2-3 hours at the pool just like cranking my way through a sock because it's such a good pool project to have. I found a new YouTube channel, which is always just so fun and exciting. It's just like finding a new TV show that you like. And it's called Hannah Alonso. And I've just been binge watching her videos. She's very similar to Tiffany Ferg, who I've been watching for a while. And these two both do a similar type of content where they do video essays that are usually half an hour to an hour in length. And they're talking about internet phenomena and internet analysis. So I just got done watching a really interesting video that she did about the ethical concerns around family YouTube channels, and Tiffany Ferg actually did a similar video, and they both did an excellent job. It's one of those hills I will die on where I think it's like I think it's wrong to have your income be based on your children performing for social media and not having any legal claims in place to protect them. Anyways, right now I'm watching one of her videos on MLMs, so I'm going to watch that. There is 20 minutes left in the video, so we're going to see how much of the toe I can do in 20 minutes. I just did the first round. That took 30 minutes instead of 20, unsurprising, and I am left with 8 stitches in total, so I put 4 on each needle where this little like side seam is here. Can you see that? And I'm going to do Kitchener stitch so that it ideally looks totally seamless. Now we play Find the Darning Needle game, because I just have darning needles randomly placed around. Ooh, here's one. Nice. First try. Also, I just want to clear the air on something once and for all. So on my Essentials versus Extra video, which is how a lot of people found me, I mentioned that fancy scissors are a non-essential, and I got so many comments from people saying, scissors are absolutely essential, you need scissors. And I did not say that scissors were non-essential. I said fancy scissors are non-essential. I'm talking about like the really decorative tiny ones that look like birds. They're cute and you can have them. I just like want to make people think twice before you buy one. Just being like, do you really need that? Maybe the answer is yes. Okay, so here is what it looks like before I go to tighten it. And this is what it looks like after tightening it. So it looks a bit better, but yeah. I know that there are some beginners watching right now who may not know this, but in case you are making something and you want to know if you have enough yarn or not, that's where kitchen scales come in handy. I use my kitchen scale exclusively for knitting and crochet and very rarely for actual kitchen stuff. But basically I can just weigh this sock and weigh this ball and see. Hopefully the ball weighs more, and that means I should probably have enough yarn. And that is a perfect fit. I'm going to try and find the other missing DPN. Hopefully I can find that soon. And then when I go down to the pool with my friend, I'll cast on the next one. Found it. It was on the ground. Crazy. Okay, sorry, real quick. I was just packing up to go down to the pool and I was like, oh, I need something to put my sock project in. And so I grabbed this bag that I've been using to hold like random knitting supplies. And inside I found my missing 5mm DPN. Now I have a full set again. At the pool, I made about an inch of progress on the second sock and then realized that I did it way too tight. So I have redone it and it is not too tight this time, but my wrist is hurting, which means I should probably stop. I really want to keep knitting, but I should probably stop. I don't know if I'm even gonna put this in the video, but here's my haircut and there's a lot going on. I personally love it and I know it's not for everybody, but basically I have an undercut, so the bottom half of my hair is shaved off, and then I have these really long strands that are like a couple inches longer than the rest of the haircut, but I really like it. Yeah, this is my Home Depot outfit. That's it, time to go to Home Depot. I made a ton of progress on the second sock yesterday and honestly just had the most amazing day. I'm to the point now where I'm just finishing up the toe, so I think I can just have this done in the next like half hour for sure. Yesterday was just like the perfect Saturday. So I went to Home Depot in the morning and picked up some supplies and ended up having the most random conversations. So when I went to Home Depot, there was this guy that was working there, like an older man, and he came up to me and he was like, "What are you working on, sweetheart?" And I'm like, "Building a shelf." And he was like, "Okay, so you're gonna wanna screw that into the studs, you know?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Okay, so you're gonna wanna get a stud finder." And I'm like, "I have two." And then he's like, "Okay, well, then you're gonna want some brackets to hang that up." And I'm like, "Dude, you don't know my plans. You don't know what I'm going for here. And I already own a ton of brackets." Of course, I did not say any of that. I just like politely nodded along. Anyways, after a while, he just kind of looked at me and he was like, "You don't need my help, do you?" And I was like, "No, but thank you." And we ended up talking because I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to challenge myself to have more conversations with strangers in like a safe way. So I ended up talking to this guy and he's one of those like older guys that just loves to talk, and not in a bad way, but just loves to talk. So I did not have to say very much, and I ended up getting his whole life story. He talked about his relationship with his brothers. He talked about his fishing trips. He talked about how one of his brothers had recently passed away, and it was like the one that they thought was going to live the longest, and they were all shocked. And he talked about like death, and it got really weirdly deep in the middle of Home Depot. So I was talking to that guy at Home Depot, got his whole life story. That was a fun experience. Got home from Home Depot, and then I like knit and had tea and had a really good breakfast. And then I took my knitting down to the pool, and I was down at the pool for 5 hours. It was 98 degrees outside. It was amazing. Perfect pool day. I was drinking lemonade, working on my sock, and hanging out with my friend. And then her boyfriend came down and he brought some mango, and it was my first time ever trying mango, and I really liked it. So that, of course, it was so nice. And then that night, me and then that same friend and her boyfriend and then my husband all went to karaoke together, which has become sort of like my favorite thing to do on the weekends now. We live within walking distance of a local bar, and they have karaoke like a couple times a week. Here's a brief history of me and karaoke. The only times in my life I've ever been around it was in college. They would have some karaoke events, and me and my husband, that was like our first date, is we watched people at the school do karaoke and just had a great time. We did not participate. And then later that same year, 2019, I went with a friend of mine on a vacation because I had never been on a trip in all of college, and I feel like everyone else had, and I was like, this is my last chance. So me and my friend went on a trip, and during this trip, we were at a place that was doing karaoke, and I so regretted for the rest of the trip that I did not participate in karaoke because I so wanted to, and I was just too embarrassed maybe to go up there and actually do it. So me and my husband, the next time that I bumped into karaoke was 6 months ago, and I was like, okay, this is my shot. I can either do it now or continue to regret it like the last time. Because everyone that went up just looked like they were having the best time, and everyone else was having such a great time singing along. It didn't matter if you were terrible because it was just about having fun. And so I went up, then we went again, and I went up again, and now it's just become a thing. It was so fun last night because the bar was totally dead. Nobody was there. There was like 15 people in the entire bar the whole night, but no one was volunteering to go up and sing karaoke. And so I went up 5 times that night. My friend was really nervous, but she ended up going up, and it was so funny because the karaoke DJ, because no one was signing up, she just kept on calling people up at random. She'd be like, "Hey, Jerry, you want to come up again? Bet you do." So she just kept doing that. And I think she pulled me up twice. She pulled my friend up. So my friend did 3 songs and I did 5. And it was like, she had a great time. I had a great time. I feel like I'm really fulfilling my childhood dream of just being the center of attention. Whew. When I'm down to like 2-3 stitches on each of these DPNs, it starts getting real difficult. Sorry, difficult, maybe not be the right word. Finicky. Now that is a pretty looking toe. Ends have been woven in, these are completed, and all they need to be is just blocked. I do like blocking socks, not even blocking them. I'm not gonna block these, I should rephrase. I want to wash these before I wear them just because it's hand-dyed yarn, and especially with red, I feel like if they're on my sweaty feet, like my feet are gonna be dyed red by the end of the day. So I just wanna give them a good, thorough washing. I am counting these as done. Yay! Oh my gosh, that only took like 5 days to make both of these. On to the next project. I'm ready to start on the next project. Start finishing the next project. Shoot, I made tea like an hour ago and it's just sitting there waiting for me. The tea emergency has been addressed. So the next project that has a bunch of stitch markers that don't actually need to be on here anymore is the sweater. This is the Cumulus blouse. I'm making this for my mom. I sent her a bunch of patterns in January and was just like, pick your favorite, I will make it for you. And this is the one that she wanted. And I just tried this on just to make sure that the sleeve length was good because we're very similar in size. And it's really cute. I felt really cute. So I think I need to make one of these for myself. The only thing is I think the neckline might be a little bit too low for her, but we're gonna address that and hopefully fix it a little bit. But before I do that, I literally just need to bind off this sleeve. I did an I-cord bind off and I gotta do another I-cord bind off. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this whole thing done today, but I am gonna try and at least start on the neckline today. The plan being, I wanna cast it on, and I got The French Dispatch, the movie, from the library, and I wanna watch that because I'm working my way through all of Wes Anderson's movies. Same with like Studio Ghibli. So when I'm doing a task that I know will take somewhere between 1 and 3 hours, I like to put on a movie just to have a fun little like, hopefully I'll be done by the time this movie's over. And it provides some level of motivation, plus I get to watch a movie. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing this wrong. No, I'm doing it right. Okay. Okay. I think I'm doing it right. Okay, let me tell you what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if I went down a needle size before I did this or if I just kept it the same needle size. Since it's not gonna take me more than like half an hour, I'll just do it because it looks the same. But there's a pattern that I know I did recently where you had to cast on to do an I-cord edge and it said to like skip stitches when you were doing it. And I can't remember if it was this pattern or not. This is what I get for doing multiple patterns at once. What else would I have done recently that involved an I-cord and was following a pattern? It doesn't matter. I don't know. So I'm just gonna move forward with this and I will undo it if I have to. Well, I should definitely go down a needle size when I go to do the collar. All right, friends, moment of truth. They're the same size. We're good. I don't have to redo it. Yay. I'm gonna take a little break and then we're gonna work on the collar. You're so cute. You're so cute. Okay. This video is gonna be so long. That's probably a good thing. It's been a while since I've had a really long video. So let's do it. Big yawn. Was that a big yawn? My plan for the V-neck is because basically on me, it falls at like a spot that I actually really like, but it's pretty low. It is pretty low. So I want it to just be a little bit tighter, especially knowing if it gets blocked, and we're gonna try to block it so that it doesn't grow. The neckline basically is perfect right now, but I know that once it's washed for the first time, even if we try really hard, my mom's gonna have to wash this at some point in time, so I'll explain it to her as well. If she likes the neckline as it is, when you go to block it, you just have to be really careful not to stretch it out. But naturally it's wool, so it probably might stretch out over time a little bit. So there are some things that we can do to address this. Yeah, you can crawl into my lap. You take so long to make decisions. But my plan is to go down a needle size. So I think right now I've been using 4.5 millimeter needles. Yeah, 4.5. So I think I'm gonna go down to a 4 millimeter needle. And then on the V-neck portion, not picking up all the stitches, so maybe doing a pick up 2, skip 1, pick up 2, skip 1 on the back line, just doing all the same amount with a smaller needle size. I'm also going to do, I think, a 4-stitch I-cord instead of a 3-stitch I-cord like I did for the sleeves, because that will hopefully get a ever so slightly thicker look. And then I'll try it on once the I-cord's done. The tricky part is not doing it too tight, because if I do it too tight, then it can make it look all like scrunched up around the neckline, which just is not a cute look. We don't want the scrunchy wrinkles. That's not the vibe we're going for. So it's really just going to be a trial and error situation. And then there might be some things that I can do with elastic. I have some elastic thread that has proved very helpful in the past. It's a little bit more difficult with a V-neck than with just a regular circular neck, but I think I could make it work. So we'll just see. We will see. My entire plan is to start watching The French Dispatch. I have it queued up on my TV right now, right behind you, and I'm gonna watch that and see how much of this I can get done. All right, Pip, should we do this? I have to lean over and I have to grab the new needle. Is that okay with you? Oh God. You're so hard to reach over. Okay.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. Trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't even know where to begin. If I allow myself to dream, will it be as good as it seems? Pull me out of this place in the middle.
Next project is this crochet mesh top that I started working on a couple months ago in the summer, and I was working on it while on vacation, and I ran out of yarn, which is insane because I'm pretty sure this was like 10 or 11 balls of Drops Bell, but I ordered more and they have finally arrived. So I am ready to finish this project. The thing that I don't know right now is many things, really, including how to eloquently state a sentence. The thing I don't know right now is exactly what I want to do. So like, obviously, yes, finishing the sleeves, and then for the cuff, because I'm not a huge fan of crochet ribbing, because I feel like it's trying to emulate knit ribbing, and in my brain, I'm like, well, I know how to knit, and that would use less yarn and it wouldn't be as thick and it would take less time, I think. So like, why wouldn't I just knit the ribbing? But I don't want to do ribbing at all on this because I want this to have more of a summery vibe despite being a very dark color. So I'm just going to do like a couple rows of single crochets like I did around the collar here. And I remember thinking that this collar was a little bit too big. So I'm going to think about it, but I did try it on just a minute ago and I was like, maybe it's not, I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is finish the sleeves and then make some decisions from there, because the other thing I need to decide is if I want to do anything on the bottom. So right now it's what I would call an unfinished bottom hem. And basically the choice I need to make is, do I want to add the same edge that I'm doing on everything else? The sleeves aren't too complicated. I am going to do slight decreasing just because I really hopped aboard the bell sleeve trend for a while, and the bell sleeves are just too big. And then I also did the balloon sleeve trend a lot, and balloon sleeves are cute. They look really cute, but like they got disgusting real fast. Like I would reach for food and it would just be covered in sauce. So balloon sleeves, bell sleeves are a no-no for me in most cases moving forward. Now I just have a couple more days of the pool at my apartment being open and I am taking full advantage. So I will be down there all weekend, ideally getting through as much of this as humanly possible, and we'll see how long it takes. I also have no food, so I think I need to go to the grocery store before I do anything else. Should I mention anything else about this project? I don't really prep for these videos. I just turn the camera on and whatever comes out, comes out. I'm pretty sure I used a 3.0 millimeter crochet hook to do this, and I'm doing triple crochets all over with a single crochet or a chain in between. So triple crochet, chain, and that's as complicated as this gets. And then, yeah, the yarn I'm using is Drops Bell, which is a linen. Is it a linen blend or just straight up linen? I've used this so much. Okay, it's not very much linen. 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. I've worked with this many times and I've really enjoyed every time. And I think it creates it's an affordable option for summer wardrobe projects. We're 2 minutes away from this being exactly 24 hours from the last clip. That's pretty epic. I was not planning on doing exactly 24 hours later. It was mostly I'll check in with you tomorrow. But I was sitting here and I was like, okay, I just finished the sleeve. Let's check what time it is. And I looked up what time I was recording yesterday. So yeah, the timing. Wow. I spent so much time. I worked on this all day. I was at the pool again for hours because the apartment pool is closing in 2 days. So I am getting my fix. And I am so excited. I finished the sleeve. I did the last couple rounds this morning and I decided to do a 3-round single crochet bind off. It's not really a bind off, it's just 3 rounds of single crochet, which is nice about crochet. Depending on the type that you're doing, you usually don't have to bind off. I love that. I wasn't sure how thick of a border I wanted on the sleeve, and sometimes you don't know until you do it, but I feel like the 3 rounds is enough to give it some visual weight without it being overly stiff and bulky, because I don't like having stuff on my wrist. I don't wear watches. I almost never wear bracelets except for special occasions. So this is good from a visual and sensory standpoint, which we like to accommodate both. And I still like the visual weight of this neckline where it's 5 rounds of single crochet? Yeah. And that totally works. I absolutely love the fit of the sleeve, which is good. I didn't need it to be super fitted, but I didn't want it to be not fitted at all. And so I ended up decreasing 2 stitches every 4 rounds, 2 triple crochet stitches. So I guess a triple crochet and its accompanying single crochet chain in between those. It's a chain, it's not a single crochet. Whatever. If we're counting stitches as just one of each of these triple crochet posts, then I decreased 2 triple crochet posts every 4 rounds. And if I was to do this again, I think maybe I would do it every 3 rounds instead. I like this for this purpose, but I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to do something different next time. I do have some very good news about the sweater. I decidedly like it. I was really, really on the fence yesterday and not knowing because I just couldn't visually see it. I needed to see it with a sleeve on it to know if I would actually wear this or not, because the short sleeve with the lower neckline combo, because to me, I love really high neckline shirts. I like my collarbones to be fully drowning in fabric. It's just my sense of style. And so I was worried that the neckline was too low, and I don't like the way that low necklines look with short sleeves. It just looked odd. And I just tried this on after having finished the sleeve. I still need to weave in ends. We'll get to that. But I really liked it. I liked how that neckline looked with the long sleeve, and I liked the visual weight. And so I was really heavily contemplating if I wanted to add a bottom border. Since I started on this months ago, I just wasn't sure if I wanted to do a border on the bottom. I have no good way to show you this. There we go. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a border on the bottom or just leave it raw. And since finishing the sleeve, the decision I came to was that I want to leave it raw, at least for now. Because the nice thing about crochet is you can always come back to it. It is very forgiving to add to crochet garments, in my experience. It's less forgiving to subtract from them, but you can always add more. And I want to take advantage of that. And I also want to take advantage of the fact that in crochet, you can have a raw edge. You can't do that as much in knitting. There's always some level of visual weight at the bottom of the sweater, unless you're using like a really drapey material with a really loose gauge or like some other very specific circumstances. But in most cases, that bottom edge has to have ribbing or an I-cord or some sort of edge. Even if you're doing a rolled hem where you're just doing a regular bind off, that rolled hem is going to give visual weight. And so I personally like having that. Sorry for using this term so much. I like having that weight on the neckline and the sleeves, but I like both options for like the bottom portion. I don't think that that needs to have as much visual weight because it's at your waist. It already has visual weight. That's where it's ending in the middle of your body and another garment is starting. Since I'm indifferent, the nice thing about indifference is that it doesn't really matter what decision you pick, because I'm not particularly swayed one way or the other. I think both would be good. And in this case, I'm like, okay, we can't really do this with knitting, so let's do it in crochet. Let's take the opportunity to do a raw edge on the bottom. And I like that because I think it's going to give it a slightly more casual look. And I did try this on with like a collared shirt and styled it with like a work outfit. And I think this would be a really cute work outfit. My plan now is to see you in another 24 hours and see if I can finish this in the next 24 hours. I am not doing anything today. I have zero plans in life. I'm just going to go to the pool and I'm going to listen to some podcasts and I'm going to work on this, and it's going to be an amazing day. Another day is come and gone, and I have an update about the crochet top. So it's not done. And luckily, this is a minor issue, but there is an issue and I'll need to unravel just a little bit. Okay, so the first sleeve that I finished was this sleeve, and I have an issue with this cuff. So I'm not even stretching it out right now, but you can see that it flares out. And that is because I single crocheted into every triple crochet in the previous round and in between every triple crochet. And I thought that that was going to get me the perfect tension. Turns out that's not the case. It's too big. And so when I'm wearing it, it's like ripply and flopsy, but not in a cute way. It just looks wrong and unpolished and unfitted and almost wrinkly. Like, I don't like it. It's not the vibe. So I experimented when I did the second sleeve, and it is so much better. Look at that. Look at that. It's perfect. It's exactly what I want. It's exactly what I'm looking for. So for this, I single crocheted on every triple crochet, and then every other like in between section I would pick up. Yes, you are the sweetest girl in all the land and everybody knows it. So I haven't had a ton of time today. This isn't going to take long, but I just got back from dance class and ate a little bit, and I'm leaving for paddle boarding very shortly. I'm trying to squeeze in all the summer activities while summer's still here. It's definitely got to be fall or winter by the time you're watching this. This one's a solid 20 minutes away from being done. I don't want to celebrate too early, but I'm feeling really good about it. Okay, sorry, but real quick before we get to like the reveal shots for this, I'm gonna make you wait a little bit. I just wanted to share that for the first time in over a year, possibly 2 years, I have purchased a supply, an item for knitting and crochet. I have not purchased hardly any knitting or crochet supplies. I think, yeah, a year ago I bought blocking mats. So that's the last time I've purchased any supplies. So I have been crocheting a lot more this year, and I realized that I use my 3mm crochet hook all the time. It is my favorite size that I go to constantly. And so I decided that I wanted to try getting a slightly shorter one, because I have little tiny baby hands. If anyone really wants to compare hand sizes, this like line down here on my hand up to the fingertip is exactly 6 inches. So if you want to know how big your hands are compared to mine, there you go. And if anything, honestly, it was $3-4. So really it was not a huge investment, and it's like a centimeter shorter. I almost wish it was just a tiny bit shorter, like maybe another centimeter shorter, but it's definitely an improvement, and I'm totally going to be switching to this. I also love that all my crochet hooks are totally different colors, because then I can look back at old videos, because when I was working on this sweater that Pippin's sitting on, I hadn't worked on it in over a month, and so I totally forgot what crochet hook I used, and I was able to look back at my video and be like, oh, it was the red one. It's just so handy. Okay, that was it. That's all I wanted to share. I will see you in the next clip, and it will be a reveal shot of me styling this. And Pippin will get lots of love in between now and then.
There was a lot in this town. It had a really nice
So I've just been reaching for these projects based on whichever one I feel like doing, and the one that's left is the Arctic Lights sweater. And I just haven't felt like working on it. I think a lot of people will understand this sentiment of, I love this, I want this, I'm going to make it, but I don't have the motivation to do it right now, only because it's all over cabling and the cabling switches throughout because the cabling runs vertically. And as you're working across, you're doing a ton of different types of cables, so it's not repetitive. It requires a level of focus. It's not difficult, it just requires focus. And my brain just does not want to turn on. It doesn't want to function lately. So this is not going to get finished in this video. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I feel really good saying that. It's not that deep. It doesn't matter. Like, this will get done, and it'll get done before the end of the year. Just not right now. The reason why is that I right now am working on some really huge projects that are taking like hundreds of hours. They're not even that exciting. They're just like big projects, but I wanted a mindless project. So let me introduce what I've started instead. And just a precursor note that I will not be finishing this project either. But indulge me for a second, I'm gonna back up and explain this project. Recently, I went through all of my yarn and I was trying to think of different projects for all the different yarns in my stash. And there was some yarn that I was really struggling to figure out what I wanted to do with. I have plans for almost everything, but I could not figure out what I wanted to do with these other yarns. So one of them is this Drops Extra Fine Merino, and I haven't been ordering any superwash merino, so I've had it in my stash for like a year now, and it just hasn't been used, and I really want to use it. Like, I don't want to just give it away because it's still nice yarn. It's very squishy and soft, not itchy at all, for anyone that's wondering. And I have like 6 or 7 balls of this in off-white, but I didn't want to do a solid white sweater in this material. If I was going to do a solid white sweater, I think I would prefer doing it in like a cotton blend. It's just a weird thing in my head. Anyways, the other yarn I've been struggling with is this alpaca boucle, which I have had in my stash for like 2-3 years now. And I only had 1 ball of it left, but I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this? Because here's the thing. If you don't know what boucle is, it's sort of a fluffy yarn with a bunch of loops on it. And it's really fun to look at. It's such a fun yarn. And especially this one from Drops, I absolutely love. It's incredibly soft and it's not itchy at all. I've really enjoyed it and the products that it churns out and the texture. I'm a boucle girly. I love the texture. However, it annoys the heck out of me to knit with it. I've made 2 sweaters made out of boucle entirely, and they were both a struggle. I don't mind splitty yarns at all. I really don't. I have not had issues with the linens and cottons. I don't care if anything is like extra splitty. I can't do this. I can't do boucle anymore. Like, I can. It's just annoying. Especially when using a smaller needle size, because I would always use like 3.5 millimeter needles and the needle would just go like right through those loops and get caught on them. So you can't get into the flow of knitting, which makes it like takes all the fun out of it. I like getting into a flow state. That's when it feels very meditative. So then a couple days later, I was having trouble sleeping. So I just went on Pinterest and I was looking through the like clothing board that I have and like outfits that I like. And there was one pin that I saw and I really liked it again. I totally forgot that I had seen that. It was this like huge, oversized, fluffy sweater that just looked like a big bear hug. Like if you could take a big bear hug from a very warm I'm just picturing hugging my husband right now. He's out of town. Can you tell I just need a hug? And it just looks like that in a sweater, like that feeling. And I want one so bad. And then I was like, okay, I wonder how I would make this. And I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's definitely like a boucle texture, but it's really thick. So you could hold 2 strands together. I'm like, oh, what? I wonder if you could mix a merino and a boucle together and if you would still get that like strong boucle texture. So I made a swatch holding these 2 together and I loved it. But I did not have enough boucle yarn to actually make a full sweater. So all I had was my little swatch and I placed an order because because I still wanted to use up this merino. And a few days ago, my package arrived. So I had a fresh 6 balls of this alpaca boucle, and I just wanted to cast on. Now, it's not much right now, but I am in love with this. I don't know how to explain it any better. Like, this is just going to be amazing. This is going to be a fantastic sweater. I'm not following a pattern, but I'm trying to recreate. There's not much to look at right now, so I'll just sling it over my shoulder. Maybe not. Yeah, get on here. I'm trying to, why are you two so cute but off camera? Oh my gosh, my cats are like right beneath you, licking each other and cuddling. Oh my gosh, they love each other so much. It makes me want to cry. Anyway, we're talking about sweaters. So, oh my gosh, I just want this to be my pillow. This material, this combo, this is such a good yarn combo. It's squishy, it's bouncy, it's soft, it is not itchy. Like, if you're someone that's used Drops Air before, it's like less itch than that. And I am really enjoying working on this project. So I started this 2 days ago, and I've done, like, I'm so close to splitting for sleeves. This is what we're working on. I absolutely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what we were just talking about. Oh, and before I forget to mention it, because I feel like someone's going to ask at some point, this is the Maybe Forever sweater by Kuda Vakika. It's in her book Knit This, but she also sells the pattern individually, and I use Drops Air yarn in the like lavender purple color that they have. Anyways, we were talking about this. So, from a process perspective, because I talked about having an issue with boucle in the past and working with it. Since pairing it with a DK weight yarn, it's been a joy to work with. It's been totally fine. I very rarely get the like snags. It's a little bit more frustrating than working with like just the merino, but it's absolutely worth it. And I'm using big needles. It's been a long time since I've done a project with big needles, and I'm having so much fun with it. So I'm using 8mm needles on the knit side and 7mm needles on the purl side. If you're new here, when I use my interchangeable needles, which are the only needles I really own, I always have different size needles on each end. So whenever I'm knitting, I always want a bigger needle size, and whenever I'm purling, I want a smaller size because I purl very loose. And so to make sure that my stitch tension remains consistent, I always purl with a smaller needle, and it's made all the difference in the world. This is such a long section. Should I stop talking? No, there's more to explain. Oh yeah, I'm not following a pattern on this, self-drafting, but I have a hard time saying like I'm self-drafting if it's not an original design, because I want to make it clear this is not my design. I am absolutely just trying to replicate what I'm seeing in this image, but I'm also not following a pattern. I'm not planning on finishing this in this video because I have no idea how long this is going to take, and I don't want to put pressure on myself to like finish all these projects when I've got some other big stuff on the needles right now. This is just meant to be my fun project. I do know that I want to get to the point where I can connect the body and just work the body and stockinette stitch. I don't want to make it too far in the body. Like maybe I can do too far in the body, but I would like to just do a couple inches on the body and leave it there, and then do the neckline, and I want to finish the collar. That way, like all the complicated stuff is done, and then this can just be my easy, like don't need to think about it project, and I can leave it in my basket and just pick it up whenever I feel like doing just a basic stockinette stitch project. And I expect this to take several months to finish because I'm going to pick it up and set it down. I might even finish this before I finish this one. Oh, it's so warm. Oh my gosh. Maybe I will finish it. Anyways, what you're going to see in this video is me getting to the point of finishing the body and doing the collar, because I am very excited for that. Good morning. It's early the next day, and it was just a couple of rounds that I needed to do to get to the point where I can split for sleeves. Bloop. So yeah, here we go. We're ready to split for sleeves, but I'm so like anxious, like antsy. That's the word, to start working on the collar. I woke up 10 minutes ago, by the way, so I'm feeling really slow, but I'm also really enjoying. I like waking up and right away just going over to my knitting and putting on something on YouTube. Like that is my ideal morning. So here we are. I'm just like inviting you into that, because normally I wait until I'm a lot more awake to talk to you. I'm like, no, I want you to hang out with me this morning. We're gonna wake up together. You're already awake. What am I working on? What is the plan? I don't know the plan. I'm supposed to confidently walk you through what my next steps are. And I'm trying to think about what my next steps are. I don't even know. So I don't know if I want to like actually split for sleeves and work on the body, or if I just want to tie this up with the scrunchie and grab 2 new balls of yarn and just do that's what I want to do. Why am I even saying I don't know what I want to, that's what I want to do. I feel like I should split for sleeves, but I don't want to. So we're going to do whatever I want to do, which is working on the collar. So I've been thinking about it, and I think I want to do 2x1 rib. I don't want to lose sleep over what type of rib to do when it's really not that important. I feel like some choices I put so much pressure on, and then it's like, no, dude, just make a choice. Any choice is fine. It doesn't matter. Because knowing me, there's no way that I would do like 2x2 rib and hate it, or 1x1 and hate it. So I've never done 2x1, and I want to give that a try. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh, hi, Pippin. Hi, baby. Do you want to come sit with me so you're a little less in everybody's way? I'm trying to explain my plan, Pippin. All right, we've got Pippin in the house. All right, I'm gonna cast on the collar when I go, when I go to do the horizontal stitches. I can't do this. I can't explain it. Okay, Pippin sat down and picked a spot, so you're just gonna get this angle. I love this angle. Girl, look at the camera. Let them see your fun face. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and, can anyone focus right now? I know I can't. I'm gonna pick up stitches around the collar, and the way that I do this is pretty common method. Horizontally, I go and I pick up every single stitch that I see, and then when I'm on like the vertical, or the row gauge as the fancy people call it, I will pick up usually pick up 3, skip 1, or pick up 2, skip 1. It's important to skip 1, otherwise I feel like the collar just gets like huge and oversized for no good reason. I got this. You got this, right, Pip? But you didn't get enough cuddles all of last night. This is what they call codependence. Okay, it's been about an hour and I'm making progress on the collar. Can I fit this over my head? No, I can't. It'll come off the needles. So here's the deal with this, is that it was too big. It was definitely too big when I started, and I was using 6mm needles, but it looked good at the pickup point. So to me, that signified if I picked up any less stitches or went with the smaller needle right away, then it would look a little weird at the point where the collar meets the rest of the garment. So that signifies if I want the collar to be smaller, I need to go down a needle size incrementally throughout the collar. So I did 3 rounds with a 6mm needle and 3 rounds with a 5.5mm needle, or maybe it was 4 rounds of each. I didn't really count. And I think I'm gonna do like a 5mm needle and have that be the last like switch. That's the plan. It's looking sweatery. But I do have some other responsibilities today, so that will conclude my like morning knitting session. I was just having some insecure thoughts about my appearance right now, and I need to go ahead and just squash those down immediately. It's amazing what our brains will say to us sometimes, because sometimes my brain is literally like, you are ruining someone's day by making them look at the image of you right now. You're so horrible to look at. It's like torture for another person. Why? Why would my brain do that? Also, I should mention before someone calls me out on it, so I'm not wearing my wedding ring because my fingers swell up from time to time, because I don't want people in the comments being like, your fingers swell up for these reasons. It doesn't matter. My ring doesn't always fit, and I do need to purchase a ring in a larger size, but gosh, I feel like I don't have a lot of fun money, and it's kind of hard for me to like spend it on a ring. But also, my wedding ring, this is the like legit wedding ring that I put on my wedding day. It was 2 for $12. So it's not like a legit expensive ring. It used to be colored gold. It's not colored gold anymore. So I just want people to know that I'm not like dramatically taking my wedding ring off. No, I guarantee no one would have actually noticed. I feel like no one would have noticed. How many people even know that I'm married? But I really should pick up like a bigger ring. Let's also normalize not spending thousands of dollars on a wedding ring unless you actively want to. Well, that was a 5-minute tangent on wedding rings. Yeah, I feel like gross. Because I was at work all day and it's like 6 p.m. and I just got done. Like I just closed the laptop. I need to get better about that. But I just feel like exhausted, and I looked in the mirror just before turning the camera on and I was like, wow, this is not my best. But then again, when I am feeling amazing, like I want to throw a picture up right now of a time that in the moment I felt like I looked great, and a time where I felt so confident about my appearance specifically. And I want to see if there's like a big difference for myself, because is it all in my head, or some days do I just like look better? Because I feel like in my head, I'm like, some days I just look better. I have not been sleeping well. Can you tell? It's because my husband's on a business trip right now, and I never sleep well when he's on a business trip, because I love knowing, like, our sleep schedules are totally different, so that's not part of it. It's not like a routine thing. It's more just like, I feel so safe having a very large man that is very strong in the house. That wasn't like a deciding factor in marrying him, but it's a nice bonus. I do feel safe, and it's fun walking on the street at night, because I feel like for me, someone would look at me and they'd be like, she's easy to kidnap. And yeah, that's true. I feel like I would be pretty easy to kidnap physically. Like, I would try to fight back as best I can, and I do keep my ass peeled out there, but it's really not much of a commitment for someone to decide to kidnap me. They can just kind of do that in the moment. It's really a commitment to kidnap him. Someone would have to put some legit thought into that. So I feel comfortable knowing, like, going up against him as a stranger, if I'm looking at him being like, are we gonna fight? That wouldn't even... What am I even saying? Is this going on the internet? No, it's not. It can't. People I know watch this. Okay, we will see if I left any of it in, but I just spent the past 12 minutes rambling about the dumbest stuff. I spent 13 minutes not talking about this sweater. So I'm not done with this sweater. I still got a lot to do, but I have made progress on the collar. So right now, the debate that I'm having is, wow, I feel so douchey when I do that with my hair, but there's no... This is just such an interesting haircut. Is it better with all my hair down? I have no idea. This is the collar that I've made a little bit of progress on. I did 2x1 rib. I'm happy with that choice. Oh, that needs to be fixed. That's my bad from picking up stitches. Yeah, I bet there's one in every corner. I can fix that in post. We'll just sew. That's the nice thing about fluffy boucle. It's very forgiving. So I can just sew a little stitch into that, and you'll never know that there's that tiny little hole. Anyways, I feel like I'm sad that there's not a whole lot of stitch definition, and I guess a way that I could have combated that was just using the merino, maybe even held double while doing the collar and having it be a different texture. That could be really cool, but I still think I want to go all fluffy, and I think I'll like it after I make this change, which is, I think I should do a double folded. And for people that don't know what I'm talking about, a double folded over collar is just when you knit twice the length and then fold it in on itself and sew it down. So it'll basically be like this, but taller. Well, that was 20 minutes of me being a lot. So that's enough. I'm really digging my like all red and white outfit that I've got going on today. I'm feeling it. So an update here, and I'll just show you where I'm at and then we can talk about it, is this is backwards. I finished the double folded over collar. I have not yet sewn it down, and I haven't weaved in any ends because when I'm self-drafting, I like to save all that stuff for the end, because if I feel like I need to rip back potentially the whole thing, it's a pain in the butt to do that if I've already sewn down the collar and I have like woven in all the ends. So I just like to save that for the end. But all in all, I'm feeling great about this and how it's coming together. I split for sleeves and I just added like 6 stitches in the underarm here, which you don't need to know. You're not making this yourself. It's really just a note to my future self so that I can know if I tend to remake this. I'm terrible at taking notes, so these videos are really key for me. Sort of side note update on some of the stuff going on around this sweater is I have not updated you in a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. That was the last clip that you saw, because I burned out hardcore. I really overextended myself between work and social commitments and everything, you know, everything, literally everything. And my response when I tend to move towards burnout is to be like, well, I just need to do all the things harder and cross more things off my list and get more things done. But here's the reality of working, especially at a 9 to 5, you know this. The more you get done, the more work you get. There's no such thing as like getting ahead on your work. And it wasn't just work, it was everything. You know, it's with burnout, it's rarely just you got way too into one thing. I was doing my hobbies constantly, like to a point where it was too much and I was trying to get them done as opposed to just enjoying them. So during the past 2 weeks, I stopped my hobbies, I stopped social commitments, and I focused on just taking care of myself, doing everything slowly, spending more time in silence. And if I was truly bored, then I would listen to music. It has such a strong effect on my mood. And I love putting together really curated playlists that cultivate a certain mood. And I put one together at the beginning of this 2 weeks of, this is how I want to feel. I want to feel content, slowed down, and maybe even embracing the little bit of melancholy that I'm currently feeling. And that playlist really, if you wanted to get any sort of insight into my mind, I am not on Spotify, but I did create a Spotify playlist because I think you can tell a lot about a person by the music that they listen to. And this playlist I have been listening to like 8 times a day for the past 2 weeks. And it really captures the mood that I feel like I'm in right now. And it's a little bit sad, but in a good way, and it's hopeful and calming. So for anybody that's like a little bit curious and a little bit nosy into what other people listen to, I have a Spotify playlist that you can listen to, and I feel great right now. I've been getting enough sleep. I've been eating really well. I've been spending so much time just like playing with my cats and hanging out with my husband and just being slow. Anyways, that's a wrap on this for now, and maybe you'll see it in a future finishing my WIPS video, or maybe you'll just see it pop up finished in a video because I'll be wearing it. That's right, friends. We are jumping right into finishing darning these socks because that is something that actually does need to get done. My husband really wants to wear these. He's been waiting for them to be darned for like weeks now, so you know it's probably time that I get to it. So I have one heel to darn that has a straight up hole in it, and then I have one that is just worn through a lot, but the yarn is still intact, at least ever so slightly. I feel like if I just look at it too hard, it would fall apart. And then I have, not this one, yeah, the heel on one of my socks here, my Smart Heart sock is wearing through a little bit, so I need to fix that as well. And I've decided to challenge myself because the only darning I've ever done is on this sock, which I think I showed in a previous video. I definitely showed in a previous video. Someone left a comment about it. And I did a running stitch, and I didn't provide much details about it in the video where I showed this because it was literally based on like a 10-second Instagram reel that I had seen months prior and just did it. I've been wearing these quite a bit and I feel like it's held up really well. I also think it's funny. I switch off what feet I wear these on so that they don't wear unevenly, and because they're both made perfectly evenly as far as the toe goes, there's no toe shaping because I have short toes, so I don't need toe shaping. And I think it's fascinating because this one has had zero wear and tear. Like, it still looks great. There's maybe a tiny bit of thinning at the heel, but really not much. And I think it's hilarious that this one has already been darned and needs to be darned again. This one's just the unlucky of the pair, and ooh, yeah, I could go for some deep hilling on this. And I want to challenge myself to look up and try 3 different darning techniques. I don't know for sure which ones I'm going to do because I'm going to look at a ton of videos and I'm just going to go based on that. I know for this one where it's worn just kind of thin and it's not actually broken yet, I want to do duplicate stitch. Because I did get a comment from someone saying, and I think I maybe read this wrong, but the way they phrased it was like, your patch is cute, but it's not going to do anything because you tried to fix knitting with weaving and that just doesn't work. You have to fix weaving with weaving and knitting with knitting. But I'm like, so many people use weaving on their knit socks, so I don't know how true that is. I think it's helped prevent this from getting any worse. Not that it's going to hold up for years and years, but it's possible. Maybe darning via knitting on knitting is a better technique. So I do want to do duplicate stitch on this one for sure. And then on the whole, I haven't decided, but I think I want to try doing a knit patch where I think you like straight up knit. I don't know. I need to look at videos. You straight up knit a patch and like sew it in place, and like that's a thing. So I might do that on the whole one. And then this one, I'm totally undecided. It's a little bit difficult because it's on the 2x2 rib portion of this sock. And so I don't know, because I don't know. I just don't know. So normally what I would do, or my process when I'm doing these like finishing my WIP videos, is I will explain what I'm going to do, show the process of me doing it at least a little bit, like a couple clips of me working on it, and then show the after. And I think instead what I'm going to do this time is not show the process of me working on it, because it's just going to be a close-up of me with like triple chin, really focused. And I don't want to record that. I just want to focus on learning these techniques, and there's not much to see for you. What I do want to do is instead show you after they're all done. I want to show you the before and after of each sock, explain the technique that I used. If I liked the tutorial, I'll link it in the description of the video. And I want to discuss which technique I ended up liking the most, which one I would do again, or if I thought that they were all useful for different applications. And I'm getting a little bit excited about this, which is why it's probably a good plan. The vet said you are a healthy, healthy girl. Whoa. That's not how we express that we're overstimulated. I don't bite people when I get overstimulated. Okay, let's talk about sock darning. So I only ended up learning 2 techniques instead of 3. And I want to talk about the difference between the 2, because I feel like this is a good example of the difference between the different knit darning techniques. So I did look up 2 videos and, you know, watched about 30 seconds of each of the 15-minute videos to really get the gist of what to do. These are very approachable techniques for beginners. I didn't think they would be all that difficult, but they were definitely both easier than I thought they would be. So the first one is duplicate stitch, which I'm surprised I've never done before. I definitely feel like duplicate stitch is a lot more approachable than I thought it would be. And I've been kind of nervous. I've been wanting to do duplicate stitch over a sweater to create a colorwork design, but I was like, that's going to be so time consuming and so annoying, but it was very therapeutic. So yes, it's going to be time consuming, but no, I don't think it's going to be all that annoying. And then the other technique was doing a knit patch. However, the video I found that showed how to do a knit patch actually had you doing the knit patch over an open hole. And I didn't feel entirely comfortable with that. I didn't want the hole to unravel any further, even if it did have a knit patch over it, because it's a sock, so it's receiving friction from 2 different sides. So what I ended up doing is doing duplicate stitch to repair the hole and then doing a knit patch over it. And I only used 1 strand of like really light fingering weight yarn to do the duplicate stitch. And it was just to prevent it from unraveling any further, not to provide any sort of structural integrity. And did the knit patch for both of these. I used 2 strands of yarn, and I'm not entirely happy with my color choice. I didn't have a lot of like scrap yarn to work with. I didn't have any scrap yarn left over of this color. And now to explain the differences between the 2. From a process perspective, I definitely liked the therapeutic nature of duplicate stitch. I think it took more time than doing a patch. And I liked the process of the patch because you were knitting. And it was just regular knitting, but you had to stop and sew up the sides between each round just a little bit. And then from a how it feels on the foot perspective, the duplicate stitch is a lot stiffer because it's just 1 fabric with like 4 strands of yarn in it right now. And then the knit patch is 2 different layers of fabric overlapping one another. So it's really thick, but it's not as stiff. It's more like squishy. Because of that, I think for me, for darning my own socks, I would like to go with the duplicate stitch moving forward. And I think it depends on the type of like hole that you have or where that's going on or where in the sock it is. But I definitely think I would prefer doing the duplicate stitch moving forward. As far as protectiveness goes, I feel like these are both pretty protected, especially because I did the duplicate stitch and the patch over this one, and I'm feeling pretty good about these holding up over time. Now we're going to talk about the one that makes me a little bit sad. Sad's not the right word. Mad? Angry? I'm a little angry at myself for this one. I'm not gonna link it, but I watched a video where someone basically patched a hole in a sweater. It was like a portion of the sweater that was wearing through, and they cut it and unraveled like a rectangle amount from there. And it was like this perfect rectangle with only two loose frayed edges or two ends. And then the person in the video did, I don't know what the term would be for this, but basically knit a patch and made it look like it was all just one cohesive piece of fabric. Gosh, the cat's litter box is broken and it's so loud. So anyways, I saw that video and I was like, no questions asked, I got this. And I cut my sock. I'm so mad at myself. I cut my sock and immediately was like, nope, that doesn't work. At least not for this. I don't know what kind of magic sweater they had, and I think I need to do some more research. And I'm sure someone watching this right now is like, oh yeah, that only works in this very specific instance with this specific knitting technique. It was a total lapse of judgment where my brain shut off and all logic just went out the window. I'm so upset. I'm embarrassed. I'm really embarrassed. I didn't want to tell you about this because I'm so embarrassed. It's such a dumb mistake to have made. It's just knitting. It's just a sock. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. This is how we learn. I just wish that I didn't learn on my favorite pair of socks. Anyways, when I cut it open, just a whole mess happened. It was not pretty. And so what I decided to do was I crocheted in two sort of like lines vertically and then did a knit patch over the whole thing. And once I finished the knit patch, I then did a running stitch going vertically and then across the whole patch so that it was like firmly fixed. So here is what it looks like now. It's not terrible. And when it's on, it doesn't look terrible. It's just not. It's not what I envisioned. It's not what I wanted. I am, the good news is I'm proud that it is secure. That's some honesty. That's true. I am proud. It's very secure. With the mess that it was before, I'm glad that I can feel confident wearing this. I am just devastated that it didn't have to be this way. It could have been so much cuter. It's going to take some time for me to get over this, really. I'm going to process because this just happened about 15 minutes ago and I went to take a very hot shower to, relax. That's why my hair, in case you're new here, that's why my hair is like always wet. I feel like in every other shot that I do, my hair is wet because I take like 3 showers a day. They're very short, like 5-minute showers. I'm glad my husband's socks are fixed and I think he'll be totally fine with these. The skin on the heel of his feet has got to be like 1/2 inch thick. I'm pretty sure you could stab it with a knitting needle and he wouldn't feel a thing. They're some tough feet. So I think he'll be fine. Moving forward, I do think for future issues, I'm going to maybe stick with duplicate stitch, but this is your opportunity. If there is a different darning technique that I have not tried or mentioned here that you think I should try, let me know. I have seen the little weaving devices for making little woven patches on socks. That is not something that I want to purchase because I want to try and minimize the amount of things that I'm purchasing. I'm at max capacity in my apartment for crafting supplies, so I really try not to invite too much in. But if there is something that just requires supplies that I probably already have on hand, then let me know what techniques to be looking into.
Deixa de preguiça, deixa o cobertor, deixa que hoje eu vou ser o teu calor. Sei que tá friozinho, já sei como é. Sei que o nosso amor aquece quando quer.
And that's a wrap on this finishing my WIPS video. This one was definitely a roller coaster of emotions for me. There was a lot happening. There were some failures and successes and things I don't want to think about and things that I'm proud of. What a mix. Of the roundup of projects in this video, I think the one that I'm most proud of is definitely the sweater for my mom. I think that that's the one that I put the most energy into, and it really shows, at least for me, it shows. And it's a good reminder that if I want to create really high quality pieces, it's just a matter of putting more time and effort and thought into it and being willing to unravel and frog back. That's definitely not something that everyone needs to do, and it's not something that everyone wants to do, but it was an intention of mine for 2024 that I think I've been doing a really good job of actually enacting, and I'm really proud of myself for that. 2023 and before then, I would not frog back hardly anything. That would be very rare of me to do. And it's definitely made a big difference in the quality pieces that I've been able to create this year and the fact that I'm willing to fix mistakes and make things better. So that's a win, and that's a thing I can be proud of walking away from this. Now, I don't know what your plans are this Sunday, but I'm going to be binge watching Halloween movies, and I think I'm going to watch the Cornetto trilogy too, because I think I'm overdue. No one asked for this. Why am I just offering up this information? All right, that's it for me. Me and Pippin are going to relax and not think about socks for a second, and it's going to be good. I'll see you when I see you. Doobie doobie dooba doobie doobie dooba Agent P. Okay, for real, that's it this time.